Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. So even though we are only 4 episodes into this season of The Flash, one thing has become evidently clear. That being that messing up the timeline definitely does run in the family when it comes to the Allens with Barry and of course his daughter Nora. With the main thing that Nora has caused being not only the early showing of Cicada, but with Cicada being a completely different person entirely. And I'm sure that more timeline issues will arise due to Nora's presence in the past or our present throughout this season. But one thing that many people have been asking is how Nora is actually getting away with all of the, this messing with the timeline. Why aren't the Speed Force authorities, if you want to call them, after her? With the main question, to quote many people, being, why isn't Black Flash after Nora Allen? So the last time we saw Black Flash in the entirety of the Arrowverse was back in the Season 3 finale of The Flash when he was stupidly taken down by ice powers, whatever. Anyway, many people think he is dead following that. Newsflash, pun intended there possibly, but Black Flash is literally death for speedsters. You can't kill death. So essentially, imagine Black Flash is that camping hardscoper on Call of Duty, we'll say Modern Warfare 2, and you kill him with a cross-map throwing knife. He may appear on your kill feed that he died to you, but he is just going to respawn and go back to doing exactly what he was doing before. So Black Flash may have been defeated at that point in the Season 3 finale, but he would have just respawned in the Speed Force. And earlier on in that season of the Arrowverse, he had been a major threat for Reverse Flash in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, actually being the one to kill Reverse Flash rather than the Legends. Now we all know that Black Flash was once Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom, before being completely decayed and turned into Black Flash, but it is actually the entities that turned Zoom into Black Flash that should be the things people are asking about, not Black Flash himself. Those entities, of course, being the Time Wraiths. Now the debate is still up there as whether Black Flash in the Arrowverse is just another Time Wraith, but not as withered and decayed as the others, but the shows have never really defined that properly. As on Legends of Tomorrow, Black Flash was hunting down Reverse Flash due to the fact that Eobard was supposed to be dead, he shouldn't have existed. So Black Flash was hunting him down to correct that, which is in line with what he does in the comics. In that scenario, it didn't really have anything to do with the messing, with the timeline, even though in that season he sort of was in certain areas. But it was stated that it was due to the fact that he was meant to be dead and he was going through loopholes to still exist. As I said earlier as well, Black Flash showed up at the end of Season 3 of The Flash in an attempt to erase Savitar from existence, and that was due to him being a time remnant and him being a property of the Speed Force, but one that should not exist. So he was trying to, once again, correct that. So due to all of this, I personally think it is right to believe that Black Flash shouldn't be the one that's going after Nora, but it should be the Time Wraiths. So why aren't they after Nora Allen so far in this season of The Flash? Well, I think the obvious answer, which some of you might already be thinking to yourself, or if you've jumped the gun and already typed in the comments section down below, it's that it's a plot hole. The Time Wraiths were essentially introduced in Season 2 of The Flash to enforce time travel rules, before we were hit over the head with the Flashpoint story. And I guess they were also introduced in order to allow Zoom to become the Black Flash in a very easy way. Really, when you go back to all of that stuff that happened in those 2 episodes that Time Wraiths showed up in, they haven't really been all that consistent with it, have they? I mean, where were they when Barry committed the crime known as Flashpoint? I mean, Black Flash was busy dealing with Reverse Flash on Legends, but as I said, it really should have been the Time Wraiths going after people messing with time, so where were they when all of that happened? And you could even make the argument that they should have been, paying your boy Barry Allen a visit once he had traveled to the future. That to me is a bit of a stretch though, possibly, because Barry would be changing stuff that wouldn't be affecting anything around him, not changing present day. So that could be seen as not relevant. I guess some of you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think of that. Do you think the future stuff would have been Time Wraith territory, or do you think it's irrelevant to all of this? But yeah, in summary, on this point, they should have visited Barry during Flashpoint, or at least there being some sort of suggestion of it at least. So maybe when he was traveling back from the past, from fixing Flashpoint, there might have been a Time Wraith in the background or something like that. Now, the Time Wraiths aren't a thing in the comics, and for good reason. They completely negate one of Barry's most useful abilities, which is, of course, time travel. I don't really mind the fact that they haven't been showing up, as I'm not the biggest fan of them as a whole, but I am also someone that does like consistency on a show in regards to characters and just storytelling. So in regards to this, it's a pretty big fail. But when it comes directly to Nora and one possible option as to how in some way, shape or form that the Time Wraiths have, turned a blind eye to her and aren't after her this season, you would have to think it would come down to whoever is helping her in the future. Now, the topic of who is helping Nora in the future is of course Reverse Flash. Now, if we remember back to season 2 of The Flash when Barry runs back in time, and this is like the first time we interact with and see the Time Wraiths, Eobard goes over how he has played it safe in all departments in order to not draw all that much attention on himself from the Time Wraiths and just sort of stay undercover, if you want to call it. Now, he did make changes to the timeline. He wasn't like a Boy Scout in regards to this. He wasn't a goody two-shoes. He, of course, brought around Barry as the Flash like much earlier than he was meant to. Harrison Wells' wife Tess died, which I'm pretty sure wasn't meant to happen. He murdered people and created various other metas. He changed multiple things that were already history in the future. So this is somewhat similar to what has happened to Nora. I mean, she has brought about Cicada due to getting involved with an incident that was already happening at the time, that of course being the satellite stuff. She didn't cause that major event, she just caused a follow-on effect of that incident due to that debris. Obviously, as I was saying, there could be many more changes from Nora to come in this season, but at this point, that is the only major one we know of. And that villain was going to exist anyway, it has just come early, similar to Eobard bringing about the Flash early. Now the only, big thing is that Cicada is going around killing people, so that's the thing that makes it a bit bigger of an issue than maybe Eobard bringing around the Flash early. But then as I was saying, Eobard was killing people in the present day who weren't meant to die. However, if Reverse Flash is helping Nora in the future, you would have to think this would be a younger version of Eobard Thawne. So he obviously wouldn't have gone through all that stuff in season 1 and prior where he had changed things. However, the younger version most likely would have already had an idea about these Time Wraiths and how to deal with them, or at least avoid them. So he could use that knowledge if and when he needed to. So this information could easily be passed off to Nora so she knows herself. But personally, if I had to give an overall thought on all of this and the likelihood of it actually happening, I just think that the Time Wraiths were a convenience point added to the Season 2 story to sort of add some risk to what Barry was doing. Like, it's all well and good someone telling Barry like, oh no, time traveling can be bad, please don't Barry, don't. Someone can scream and shout that all they want, but if Barry was set on doing it, then he is going to do it. However, when some demonic thing is chasing you and trying to kill you as a result of you time traveling, you might start to have second thoughts about doing it anymore, wouldn't you? So in this season of The Flash, I think they might have something affect Nora due to her effects on the timeline. However, I think it is going to be her deleting herself from the timeline rather than anything else killing her or taking her away. And as I've said earlier in this season, she's basically going to Marty McFly herself. She will just change things to the point where she won't be born at the time she was meant to in her life, thus erasing her from existence. Now, this is when they could maybe bring Black Flash into it if they wanted to and go, hey, Nora, yoink, but I think they'll just make her, literally just disappear and she'll just vanish before our eyes. But one way, however, in which not only the Time Wraiths, but also Black Flash could appear this season that is sort of it's still connected, I guess, but it's outside of, what they're doing in regards to the whole season story, is in the 100th episode or episode 8 of this season. Now, of course, we've talked about this a decent amount lately. I think yesterday's video was on this as well. But as we know, Zoom's going to be in the 100th episode. Now, as I've been saying throughout this video, Zoom was transformed into Black Flash by the Time Wraiths. He was decayed, made extremely old, essentially killed, and turned into, Black Flash or an advanced Time Wraith. As I said, I haven't really made that clear on the show or in the Arrowverse as a whole. So obviously this will involve time travel, so they could even make it that they're time traveling and maybe changing things and the Time Wraiths could appear. Saying it that it's the 100th episode, they're going to embrace the past on the show. I think it would be cool to have the Time Wraiths show up, even though I was saying earlier on that I'm not the biggest fan of them. Just because they've been on the show in the past, I think it would make sense for them to show up again in some way, especially if time travel is involved, or even just because Zoom's involved, because, it's a bit confusing that Zoom's there because it's not going to be something where he's resurrected from the dead because he's still technically alive, but he's just sort of lost his humanity and just driven insane by becoming Black Flash. So there's a bit of a issue there in regards to him coming back. But yeah, that's probably the best bet I think personally we have at the Time Race, as well as Black Flash showing up this season, that 100th episode, just because the show's going to be embracing the history, or that episode's going to be embracing the history of the show, and most likely us seeing multiple characters from the past showing up. Maybe not every single character, but with Time Wraiths and Black Flash, it's easy because they're both CGI characters. So it would be extremely easy to have them show up. They don't even have to do anything. They could just be in the background or say yo, what's doing? but you know, it wouldn't cost them too much to do, so I think why not do it. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on the stuff we went over in this video. What do you think is going on, Nora? Do you think the time wraiths are going to come after her, or do you think it's something like what I'm thinking, where it was just a convenience point for them in regards to the story of season 2, and the time wraiths now are sort of irrelevant. Like, now that Black Flash is there, if they really want anything to do that maybe the time wraiths would do, they can have Black Flash show up, but even that wouldn't match what he does in the comics. It's a bit confusing, to be completely honest, but let me know all of your opinions in the comments section down below in regards to all of that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.